Well, hello there, family. You're listening to Fired Up Freedom with Steve Ryan. Fired Up Freedom. All right. Do you ever have moments where you feel stress, anxiety, or it's hard to sleep? Then meditation may be the perfect thing to help you. Come and join our meditation channel where there's 24 hours a day on-demand meditation music. Go to steveryan.com/meditation. That's steveryan.com/meditation. It's time to have freedom from the noise. All right, so welcome everybody. So for any of you who are new here, whether you know me or don't know me, I'm Steve Ryan. It's nice to meet you. If I don't know you, and if I already know you, good to see you again. So what Hello Freedom is, this has been something that we've been doing probably for about a month and a half now in this format, maybe even two. I forget the exact date of when it actually got started. I know it was in September, sometime in September, and basically, freedom is about financial freedom, mindset freedom, emotional freedom. And what Hello Freedom is introducing concepts, introducing thoughts that will help you toward whatever freedom means to you. Like, for example, some of our topics have been, how do you create passive income? We just had a whole session about that last week, and how do you deal with abandonment issues, or how do you deal with setting boundaries? Like all kind of different topics, and each and every one of these topics, it definitely helps towards people's freedom. You know what I mean? Toward that mindset freedom, and some of these topics helps toward that financial freedom, but a lot of times, financial freedom can be directly correlated to how you think and how you approach things. So I feel like these type of topics are important. And I used to do a lot of spaces and rooms and things about people coming and sharing projects and stories and things like that. But I decided to do something different, and I knew it would be like starting over. You know what I mean? I knew it wasn't going to be as big initially, like it was going to be like a regrowth, but this has been some of the most liberating and enjoyable topics ever, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I really thank each and every one of you for coming, for being present, for being here, whether you're watching me live right now or whether you're hearing me. And for any of you who are hearing this after the fact, because these will be on my podcast and these will be on future video releases, thank you for tuning in and enjoying. And I really hope that today you get something good from this. All right, so let's get started. So what's coming up this week? Today we're talking about how do you choose yourself, and should you? Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how do you develop a strategy that works for you. And on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how does your mindset create financial freedom? And Thursday, we're going to talk about, is failure really failure? And Friday, we're going to talk about how do you move energy? Now, just a heads up, Thursday and Friday may be a little tricky for me. I am due to travel unless I cancel. So that's going to be a little tricky. I'm going to try to make sure I execute having the space and everything. But we will still move forward. All right, let's go. So this morning, how do you choose yourself, and should you? Well, why is this topic important? Well, I'll tell you why it's important for me personally. And maybe you might have a reason of why it may be important to you. A lot of times I feel like there's this pressure from society of, you have to put everyone else above yourself, or people would neglect themselves. And that can lead to discouragement and depression and anxiety. And it really can interfere with progress and growth. And this is something that I personally struggle with because I love helping people. I love being there for people. Like, that is something that gives me fulfillment. But what I've had to learn over time is, how do I be there for people without neglecting myself? How do I be there for other people, but be there for myself as well? And it got me going down this road of thinking that, do you really love yourself if you're always putting everyone above yourself and never taking care of yourself? These were battles that I struggled with, because there's these terminologies that gets associated with this, like, you're a good person if you put everyone else first. You're a bad person if you put yourself first. You're a bad person if you're selfish. You're a good person if you're selfless. And I used to believe in that. I used to believe that. And as different things have happened throughout my life, I realized that that's not fully true. I feel like it's all subjective. If you're a good person or a bad person, it's all subjective. So what I came to a conclusion of is this, is as long as I do things with integrity, as long as I do things in the spirit of honesty within myself, then I know I'm a good person, and that it's okay to choose myself. It's okay. You know what I mean? So normally I've been coming up with three-letter acronyms. Today I have a 4-letter acronym for you. This was my process of dealing with how to choose yourself and should you. So SELF stands for self. Perfect acronym for what we're talking about. S is for show up for yourself. E is for eliminate excuses. L is for love yourself. And F is freedom from expectations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each one of these pointers. And then if anyone wants to come up, you can go ahead and put in a request so that it's already there. If you're on Clubhouse, raise your hand. If you're on Twitter Spaces, send a request. And the way that we do this is, as people are coming up, I'll call out your name. So if you hear someone's name but you don't see them, still know that they're next. You're going to be hearing their voice next. All right. And then for all of you on the live streams, I'll come to you toward the end, or while someone's talking, I may look at the comments. But let's move forward with our topic. All right. So SELF. S is for showing up for yourself. This can mean a lot of things, but for me, showing up for myself means like, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? It doesn't matter what it is. Do I have a certain health goal? Like, I personally do. Right now, I'm on this workout routine to where I'm wanting to get to a certain fit level of how I used to be, because I've let myself go a little bit. So what I've done is that I make non-negotiable time. So I don't care what else is going on. I make sure I stop, before noon. Before noon, I'm going to stop at some point for 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm going to take time to work out. I'm going to take time to do those things. That's part of showing up for myself. Now, if I said, oh, I can't do this, or, oh, I got to get to this, or, oh, I have to get this done for everyone else, it wouldn't work out. I wouldn't be going toward my goal. You see what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with showing up for yourself. One of the key strategies that I do, I love to use this word, non-negotiable time for yourself. So if you have a certain goal, whether it's a health goal, a financial goal, a business goal, whatever you're working on, we've talked about this before, where I talked about how do you achieve your goals long term? How do you use your time effectively? And I did a calculation, and I forget what the exact numbers were, but I think like even just 15 minutes in a day, 5 days a week, that was like 60 hours. I forget what the calculation was, but that was 60 hours of time. A lot of time we get in the way of showing up for ourselves. I know I've struggled with that, and I still do have struggles with that at times. But the way that I deal with this is I make non-negotiable time, especially if it's health related or some other priority goal. You see what I mean? And knowing that it's okay to show up for yourself. It's okay if someone calls you selfish or whatever. That's okay, because most of the time, the very people that are calling you selfish, they're not going to show up for you. That's facts. My biggest critics in the past have been people who were not there for me when I needed them. Those are some of my biggest critics. Just like earlier this year, one of my brothers was murdered and I had a GoFundMe. I wasn't super public about it on social media. I was more private about it with people I thought were my friends and things like that. And some of these people just either ignored it or treated me like I was spamming them. You know what I mean? especially my Recording Academy friends, And so now, guess what season this is right now? This is Grammy voting season. So I'm getting all these messages about FYCs and, oh, will you consider this song and blah, 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 because I'm a voting member. And there's a part of me in my mind where I'm like, really? So basically you want me to do something for you when I had a family member that was murdered and you couldn't even contribute $1? It's not about the money. It's about the energy of being there. Because for years and years and years, I was always just there for other people. Whenever someone needed something, I'm there. No questions asked. And I will say this, there are some people that's there for me. I'm not going to sit here and say no one, but I find that a lot of the times that the people who were not showing up that I was there for, it was some disappointment, but it taught me a lesson. And I'm so glad it happened, because it really cemented my thinking. And some of this I might be jumping ahead, which is when I do things, I need to make sure that I'm doing them for me. So if I want to help someone, now this is my attitude even now, today now. This is how I've combated that. If I want to do something for someone, I'm going to do it because my spirit is moving to do it. My gut feeling is doing it. Or I'm feeling good doing it without any expectations of anything from them. That was my path to free. I know I jumped ahead to F, so we probably won't talk about that long. I eliminated expectations. I just don't expect anything. Even coming here doing this today. Like, I love being here helping y'all, but if 0 people showed up, I would still go on and do this. And you want to know why? Because I'm doing it for a podcast. I'm also doing it for a video. And I know this content that I'm doing right now is going to reach a whole lot of people, a lot more people than that's here right now. Like, I look at the Clubhouse room or the Twitter spaces, and I don't really pay attention to the numbers, because some days there's a lot of people here, some days it's not. These are not sexy topics. These are not, we all gonna make it topics. These are topics that are more thought-provoking, that are more about growth and personal growth, financial growth. And I've been amazed at the turnout on the TikTok live streams. It's been from 300 to 900 people, sometimes more. And I've posted screenshots of that on my social. So, whether those numbers were there or not, I still would be here. Why am I sharing this? Because this is an example that I'm actually doing right now. I'm showing up for myself. But if anyone else shows up and get help, great. Now we got 2 objectives with one effort. I showed up for myself, and it helped some people. Great, awesome. So this really takes a lot of confidence within yourself. But before I move to the next topic, I will say the biggest way that you can show up for yourself is ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? When I ask myself those kind of questions, those were the biggest turning points in my path and journey, really in my life. And asking yourself why, your why can change. Why you do something today may be different why you do something a month ago, or 6 months ago, or a year ago. You see what I mean? Like, take this freedom, for example. I'm going to be releasing a video about the whole project, the NFT project. But take, for example, the NFT project. At first, we were doing that. Now it's a segment. It's not the whole picture. I was like, we're not going to be in a fishbowl. We want to reach more people. We want to reach people who's not interested in that world, and help you all get to financial freedom, help you all get to mindset freedom, whatever freedom you want to get to. So this is about freedom overall. Yes, we still have the NFTs and stuff like that, but that's a segment. That doesn't represent all of who we are. You see what I mean? And so my why to discovering that was like, okay, let's eliminate Web3 out of the picture for a moment. What have I been doing all these years before then? And I thought about that. And I said, okay, I'm not going to neglect and abandon that just for Web3. To me, I feel like it's all of what we're doing. Helping people is helping people. that you can be a part of this movement without having to participate in Web3 part of it. Now, for the Web3, yes, there's some perks and benefits, but I'm not going into that today. I'm just going and making a point right now. My point is showing up for yourself, your why, being honest with yourself. Those are super big factors. I'm telling you, that was the single biggest thing that helped me. The single biggest thing, you know? And, the funny thing is, I'm going to mention this and then I'll move on. On the day that my project launched, March 30th was the same day my brother died. And I was amazed at how it was two sets of people. There were some people who were very, very there for me. We had some grieving spaces. They were sharing their griefs. They were there. But there was a larger segment of people that just didn't give a crap. It was pretty much like, what's going on with the project? And so that was an eye-opener for me. I was like, you know what? Here I am trying to do something big for all these people, and they're not even like showing up for it. They're not even helping. They're putting it all on me, and they don't even give a crap of what I'm going through. So all these things really led me to a place of like, okay, I can't keep doing this, because that's not the first time I've done that. I've constantly showed up for other people at the cost of neglecting myself. So I made a commitment with myself after that point. In the past few months, this is what I've been working on, which is showing up for myself first. And if anyone else benefits, great. I love it. But I release the expectations of anything from anyone else. And let me tell you, this is some of the happiest, freeing energy ever for me. Really is. It was a release from like this mental prison. You see? And why am I sharing a real example is because you may have a story yourself. You may have something that's going on to where you're showing up for other people or where you're neglecting yourself. It's perfectly okay to love yourself. That's okay. It's perfectly okay to do something for yourself. It's nothing wrong with that. Why am I doing this? Because I want to build a legacy and a message. I want to help people build their legacies. My purpose haven't changed. The only thing that has shifted is now I'm not close to some NFT space. I'm broad to the world. I'm bridging everything. Most of you here don't even know about that stuff. Seriously, the main people that know about this is if they're on Twitter, maybe some on Clubhouse. But the majority of you that are listening and watching, you're immersed in outside of that world. And that's perfectly okay too. And I want to help all of you. But why I'm here is building legacy. I want to build something great. Because when I was growing up, I love my family, don't get me wrong. My father, may he rest in peace. He was a great dad. My mom was a great mom. I'm definitely not talking bad about my parents. They were there the best way they knew how to be. But they had a mindset of, go to college, get a job, work for the government. You got to get lucky to make anything happen. Nothing will ever happen for us. That's for the lucky people. It was a very limiting mindset. But I couldn't blame them. The era they grew up in. You know what I mean? They went through so much that all this freedom talk was scary. So for me growing up, I knew I wanted something more and greater, and that led me down the path that led me down. So I had to get away from that. I loved them, but as soon as I graduated, I left. I only stayed for graduation because my mom begged me to, but like the next morning, like 6 a.m, I was on the road. I was gone because I was like, I need something. I need something greater than this. But I felt so alone. I felt like I didn't have anybody that could relate to me. I went through some bouts of depression and things, but that didn't stop me. And eventually what I learned to do was to network with people, and I discovered about going to workshops. I went down this path of getting financially independent through stocks and real estate. That still benefits me today. So if I had someone like me at that time to help open up my mind, I know that I will be even much further along. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for where I am. I get to wake up every day and do what I want to do. You know what I mean? I get to wake up and know that all my bills are paid for through passive income, and any money that I generate is working toward bigger goals, like paying the team. We have a staff of team here that's been great this year, you know, and they're getting paid. That's helping them, and we're helping a lot of people who are listening to this or seeing this. This is my dream. I want to build this organization that helps not enable people, but that empowers people to their freedom. Because I've always been told, no, you can't. I've always been told, you got to get lucky to make something happen. I've always been that person that felt like I've been passed over for other people, or that I have to work 20 times harder to make something happen. You see what I mean? So what I want to do is, if there's any other people out there who have a similar a path to where they're like, God, I want to make something out of my life. I want to do something, but I feel like I don't know where to go. No one's helping me. What's going on? Hello Freedom is here to help you say hello to your freedom, and not just hello to it, but to actually walk to it. Take the actions and the steps to walk through it. This is a very, very, very important topic. It really is, because for me personally, anytime I've had setbacks, most of that I've equated to not choosing myself, not doing things that was in my interest too. You know what I mean? And being able to not feel bad about it. And so that is I'm so passionate about this right now, because this is a very powerful topic. So the question that I pose, how do you choose yourself, and should you? Well, my opinion about it, absolutely yes. And let me tell you, people who have a problem with you choosing yourself, the majority of them, and I don't care if they step on any toes, the majority of them are truly the selfish ones. And I'm talking about the version of selfish that they use like a weapon to say, you're being selfish, you're bad. The majority of them that have that thought process that will try to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself, they're not going to have your back. People who truly respect you will respect your boundaries. People who truly honor you and love you, they will want you to be the best that you can be. That's my personal belief. I'm sharing with you conversations that I've had with myself. This is how I've gotten to this very balanced point. I feel like the best I've felt in my life. Like, this is freedom for me. And I hope that this helps you on your path to freedom. Now, I know I jumped all over the place. We've been talking about how do you choose yourself and should you? And the acronym was SELF. SELF. S, show up for yourself. E, eliminate excuses. L, love yourself. And F, freedom from expectations. Now, I did address some things in the other ones, but I want to talk about eliminating excuses and why is this important. A lot of times I find, and this is when because some of the things I do help people, like consulting and I love like life coaching, even though I know it's like, Steve, you have a million things you do. You write songs, you do this, you do that. But I like life coaching because it helps me to get a pulse of what's going on with people outside of just this, you know what I mean? And it's fun. I enjoy it. I love strategizing. And one of the biggest things that I see that holds people back from their goals is excuses. All right. Now, I know there's two types. You have legitimate reasons, like actual reasons of why someone can't do something. It could be health, it could be limitation, whatever. And then you have excuses. I'm not going to go deep in this. We've talked about this, but we can talk about it again in the future. But to me, when we make excuses to not do something, when we make these excuses, one strategy that I've put out here before that I want to bring up today is, for every excuse that you make of why you can't do something, I want you to practice thinking of 2 reasons of why you can. So let's say you have a business goal. I'm just throwing something out there, or even a health goal. All right. And let's say you say, I don't have time. Let's say health. Okay. Working out. Oh, I don't have time to work out. I'm just too busy. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, if you have health issues in the future, you're going to be forced to have time, because if you're not able to do A, B, and C, it won't matter what's on your schedule. If you're not feeling well, it won't matter. So the way that I eliminate excuses of working out, I knew for myself I hated long workouts. Like, I'm not one of those people that like to spend hours in the gym. So I used this program called T25. It's a 25-minute workout. And I said, okay, at a minimum, I can do this 5 days a week. I can dedicate at least 25 minutes to investing in my health 5 days a week, regardless of where I'm at, regardless of what I'm doing. It doesn't require any equipment. And this is not me giving a solicitation for them. I don't even have them on my resources page. I need to add them on there, but the point that I'm making is that was my way of eliminating excuses. Or what I'll do is, some of you will see me on live doing this, like you see me moving and dancing. I'm not just dancing to the music and having fun. I'm working out. I'm sitting here see, when I'm doing this, I know those who are hearing me, you can't see me. See, right now I can feel my abs working out. I can feel it. You see, I'm squeezing my abs and I can feel the workout. So I get to do it at the same time that I'm doing other things. Or I move a lot. You see, like I'm moving right now. See, this is a workout. This, yes, it's energy, and a lot of you love seeing me do this, but I'm not just doing it for you. I'm doing it for me so I can get a workout while I'm doing what I'm doing. The point that I'm making is, any kind of excuses that get in your way, my suggestion for those of you who need this suggestion is try to find a way to incorporate a counter to that excuse. You see what I mean? And once you start to do that, you're going to start to see things from a whole different perspective. It won't be, oh, I can't do this. Oh, this is going to be so hard for me. It's more of like, okay, yeah, this is challenging, but you know what? I'm going to overcome this mountain one step at a time. I'm going to chip away with non-negotiable time, this much every week, and I'm going to get there. I'm going to figure it out. This is part of eliminating excuses.
Fired Up Freedom will be right back after these messages.
Do you ever look for certain services or products and it's just hard to find, and you want to know if someone else has used that before? Well, visit my resources page, steveryan.com/resources, steveryan.com/resources. So let's relate this to the topic at hand, showing up for yourself. Okay. So if you are struggling with showing up for yourself, I'm going to tell you something that I do, because I struggled with this literally. And I'm not going to say I'm out of the woods. For me, it used to be to where it was like a bigger struggle. But now the way that it is most days is not a struggle anymore for me. But when it does come up, there are some techniques that I do that helps me. And I'm going to share them with you, and this may help you. Now, when I wake up, I like to go into the mirror, and this is what I say. I said, Steve, you got this. I tell myself that. I said, Steve, you got this today. Like, for example, ever since my brother was murdered, I have not been eating right and stuff. I admit that, and I've gained some weight, and I don't, I'm not as in shape as I normally am. And I said to myself, you know what? Don't do this to yourself, Steve. Like, why are you doing this? I said, look, there's absolutely nothing you can do about the situation. This is what I told myself. I looked in the mirror and said this to myself. I said, you got a choice, Steve. Either you're going to take the path of A and be in misery about this, or you're going to take the path of B and not only honor his life, but honor your life because you're living. You see what I'm saying? So what I do is this. I wake up in the mornings, I tell myself, you got this. But if there's something on my mind, like something that is bothering me or something that is coming in my headspace, I will talk to myself in the mirror, and I'll talk about that. You see what I'm saying? I gave the brother thing as an excuse because that was on my mind yesterday. But because recently his killer, she pled not guilty and blah, blah, blah. And she gets to be out on bail while he's in the ground. But that's justice. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. You get to kill somebody, but yeah, you get to be on social media and be out on bail and not sit in jail. But I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm going to say something controversial. It makes me wonder if he was someone different, like, would that scenario exist? But hey, this is Domestic Violence Month, and I do want to say a message. I have to get off topic for a second. If any of you are experiencing any kind of domestic violence or someone making you feel threatened, get help. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Men go through domestic violence too. They just don't admit it as much because it's macho. My brother was a victim of domestic violence. Not just when he was murdered, but before. And I found that out as I went to court and heard some things. There was police calls, and he never spoke up. Because he was always macho, and he's worked out. He's like bodybuilder type. Then eventually he got kind of disabled. But the thing is, he never spoke up because it was like, he's a man. Oh, I'm a man. You know what I mean? And sometimes in the Black culture, really any culture, but especially the Black culture, it's a lot of energy that we're taught of not speaking up. You're weak if you speak up and say this and that. And those things are not true. And had he either spoken up or got help, I mean, who knows? Maybe it still would have happened. I don't know. But my point is that if you're going through any situation that's not in alignment with you, get help. Talk to a friend. Seek some counseling. It's not worth it. Escape. I looked up the statistics, and I forget what the number was, but I think it was like 16,000 or something. It was a large number of domestic violence deaths in the U.S. every year. That's not even worldwide. In the U.S., that's a lot. So that means every day hundreds of people are being killed over domestic violence. You know what I'm saying? And I look at these situations and I hear people tell me about relationships they're in and things they're going through, and they say, "Oh, I love this person," but the person hit them, or the person is trying to control them or make them feel a certain way, and it's like, but they want to stay there for the kids, or they want to stay there for that's not showing up for yourself. And my thing is, part of showing up for yourself is eliminating these excuses. Now, I'm not here to talk about that and talk about those situations. Every person have their own personal situation. But what I am saying to you is that it's nothing wrong with loving yourself. It's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. It's nothing wrong with doing these things. You can still be there for other people, Now, I understand as a parent, now kids are priority. They come first. I'm not talking about not being a parent. This is separate from that. When I say put yourself first, I'm talking about your mental health, your well-being. That if you're in situations or you're doing something, to don't be afraid to look at, what do I do? Like I want to get to this happy place. So do I need to make a change? Do I need to get out of a certain relationship? Or do I need to get out of a certain business partnership or whatever? You know what I mean? The purpose of today is for some thoughts. I know I went on longer than usual, but eliminating these excuses to show up for yourself is so crucial. I love you all. I thank you for being here. I think I've covered love yourself, freedom from expectations. One last thing I will mention. I just put out a video that said, I don't give an audience to anything that don't align with me. So I want to share that with you. If you have someone in your life or something, it can be someone or something that is not aligning with you, that is making you feel a certain way. If you have the power in your hands to not give that an audience, don't. That's okay. All right, I'm going to open up for anyone who wants to come up and comment or share, or if you have an experience or anything like that. And in the meantime, let's see over here. All right. In the meantime, I'll look through some of these comments on. Hey to everyone on. Hey, Miss Girl. Thank y'all for all the comments. All right. So while we're waiting to see if anyone wants to come up, I'm going to read through a couple of these. It's too many to There we go. We got Nancy. And if anyone on Twitter Spaces want to come up, just put in a request. Hey, Nancy. Hey there, Nancy. Well, she made it up, but I'm not sure. Hopefully she can hear me. Are you there, Nancy? All right. In the meanwhile, I'm going to read through some of these comments. If you come up, Nancy, just let me know. All right. So let's see here. Wow. All right. Quite a few of you in here. And to everyone saying, oh, there we go. You're kind of low. I have you turned all the way up. Oh, here we go. Hey, Nancy.
I had to get off the room and come back in. I hope everybody can listen to me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, Freedom Family. Happy Monday, everyone. I just have to thank you for these bits of gold that you give us every morning. Great. Start the mornings listening to you, Steve. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And also, I wanted to share my experience as a mother and not putting myself first. It has happened to me now since all my kids are over 30 years old that I find myself with expectations of them being around for me during my empty spaces during the day. And it's very, very important for every mother and dad out there to carve time for things that they like to do, because kids do grow up. And as adults, they have things to do and responsibilities and homes and partners and pets of their own. And they really don't have an obligation to be there every day of the week. So it's important for us to carve time for things that gives us joy and makes us happy. Because those moments will come, and if we place our happiness in somebody else's hands, we will be feeling empty and alone. And that's my share.
Wow. That is a beautiful and amazing share. For those who just to make sure you heard her, she's a mom, and she was talking about dealing with the expectations for her kids being there since they're over 30. And I'm so glad that you came up and spoke about this, because there's a lot of parents here. I'm not an active parent, meaning, it's possible I could have kids, but I don't know. But so I can't speak from the experience of a parent. So to hear another parent come up, I'm sorry, not another parent, but to hear a parent come up and say what you said, like, this is why I love when people come up, because we get to hear different people's experience. Like Nancy here speaking about being a mom, that's going to hit other mothers better than anything I could say. I can't say anything about being a mom. I'm not a mom, so, but I'm glad that you brought this up, because I have talked to a lot of people who they felt guilty, because sometimes, like this one lady, she felt guilty because she started to dislike her kids because they were being very quote unquote selfish and just totally not being there for her. They didn't call and check up on her or any of that. And she's like, God, I raised them. I was there. She was a single mother. She put everything on hold for them, and I asked her, I said, well, before you had kids, what did you want to do? And she goes, well, I wanted to be an actor and model, but I'm too old now. I said, no, you're not. I said to you, have you turned on the TV? Do you only see kids and young people on TV? No. You see older people, more seasoned. I like to call it seasoned. You see more seasoned people on TV as well, all ranges. You know what I mean? Also, modeling. There's a thing of modeling. if you've ever seen a billboard or a bank brochure or anything, that's all ages of people. You know what I mean? And so if there's some kind of agency or something that wants to target, let's say a certain demographic, let's say they want to target 50 plus. Do you think they're going to go and get an 18-year-old to do that or a 20-year-old? No, they're going to want to see some people in the 50 plus range to come and take pictures for whatever product or service they're trying to sell. These are facts, you know? So thank you so much, Nancy, for coming up and sharing. Really, 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 really appreciate that.
Thank you for giving me the chance. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. You're always welcome up. And I'll leave room for anyone else that wants to come up. And in the meantime, I will read through some of these comments. All right. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it. I'm looking more for like comments or questions. I know all these other ones I'll just get to after I'm done. I'll be free. Yeah. All right. Joker Mark says, Steve, what do you think of homosexuals and do you think they deserve freedom? Well, you know, my thing on that kind of question is this. Number one, this is just my personal opinion. I feel that people's sexuality is their business and it shouldn't define who they are as a person. It shouldn't define whether they're a good person or bad person. And in my opinion, I mean, if you're a human being and you were born in this planet and on this universe, why can't we all have freedom? Like, who is someone else to restrict our freedoms? Like, you know, what makes someone else better than the next person? You know what I mean? I feel like when it comes to stuff like that, as long as you're not forcing what, and this is to anybody, it's not even about sexuality. As long as you're not forcing your will on someone else and they don't want to participate in that, then do what you want with your personal business. That's how I feel about it. So of course, I feel like they deserve freedom. All right. Mixed Girl, he says, you feel like you do that a lot in relationships. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole topic by itself. A lot of times I hear that a lot about the relationship. Someone to say for the sake of love, they stay in a situation that is damaging their mental health, that's damaging them as a person. And, you know, I look at these situations where people have been like emotionally, mentally destroyed by toxic relationships. And it's like, the biggest thing that I've heard after they've gotten out of it, like from people who I know for a fact have gotten out of those situations, is like, I regret not leaving sooner. I regret not listening to myself sooner. And you know what I mean? And their life is just so much better. All right. Yes. Thank you all. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, too many to scroll up. So I should have caught some of these on the way. Yes, you're absolutely. So Miss Girl on TikTok, she says, you can't place your happiness in someone else's hands. That is, you know what? I'm glad you said that because I was thinking about doing a topic like that. You know, about a lot of times are we searching for other people to fill our happiness for us? You know what I mean? That actually touches home for me. So I'm definitely going to talk about that topic at some point. Cool. All right. I don't see any. Oh, here's a request. I'm sorry. Raptor Rooster. Totally missed it. And for any of you who are hearing voices, I say this every time because some people don't know about this. This is Twitter Spaces. I'm holding it up. So these people that you see, like you see Raptor Rooster connecting, he's about to talk. And this is Clubhouse over here. This is Club. These are social audio apps. And if you ever want to come in and actually speak, just go to steveryan.com/spaces and it'll take you to the current space that we're doing or Clubhouse room. Also, I know Raptor, well, I'll say this after Raptor Rooster. Hey, Raptor Rooster.
Hey, Steve, if you want to finish up, I could use just 30 more seconds, sir.
Oh, no, you're good. No, you're good. You go for it.
Well, good morning, everybody. Super glad to be here. Steve, again, fantastic topic. I love it. All the empowering stuff you've been throwing out this last month, you know, for me personally has just been immensely helpful. And, this topic, I think, is a really good one for me and other people. But I'd like to touch back on what you're talking about with the toxic relationship. I've been going through a situation where me and my fiance have decided to take a break from each other, and because we found ourselves in that toxic spot. And while necessarily, yes, you're right that being in a toxic relationship can be very dangerous and can be unhealthy, seeing that those things are happening and taking steps to change those is also super important when you care for people and you love for the people that are around you and your family. So being sure to choose yourself is important so that you can help those people that are around you. And, just getting back to your roots, remembering the things that when you were a child that made you excited, and when you were a teenager that gave you hope, and when you got into adulthood, your dreams that gave you that drive to push forward. Remember those little things in your life. It doesn't have to be something big, something crazy, something just off the rails. Sometimes the simplest things, to take a step back and just appreciate the leaves falling in fall, and the fact that in 3 months it's all going to come back. It's all going to regrow. It's all going to show itself again, and we can start our cycle again and try all over again. So that's how I feel about it today.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, one thing I want to say to Rap the Rooster and Nancy and anyone who, whether you're here listening, thank you for being here listening and being, supportive in that way. And for those of you who actually, come up and share, your words are not in vain. You'll be amazed at how many comments like that goes on, especially on like the live streams, like as you all are saying stuff, like it really hits someone, or someone may be going through that same exact thing and they're like, wow, he's going through that. I'm going through that too. And you know what I mean? So sharing these things is so crucial, and it is so important. And I thank you all for having the courage. And, with these toxic relationships, I'm so glad of what you said, being aware of it, because I feel like when it comes to being in a toxic relationship, like you have two roads. This is just my personal thinking. Not you personally, but just me talking in general. People have two roads of like, one, they both identify it and they both see if they can get to a place of working through it. And that might end up being the best life partnership, beautiful situation ever. Or B, they get to a point where they see is, maybe we're just not good for each other. And it's so complicated to say which one someone should or shouldn't do. I feel like every situation is going to be different. Every situation is going to have its own set of circumstances. It's not always as easy as, it's toxic, bye. Like, I know it's not easy. Trust me, I know it's not easy. But, I do want to talk about this one day, about relationships in general, and how I find that a lot of times what I see is people not being honest with each other. I see this a lot. This is why I've loved doing life coaching here and there over the past years and stuff. One, it gives inspiration for creativity, but two, it helps me to kind of see what's really going on with people. Of course, I wouldn't say names and stuff like that, keep it confidential. But the biggest thing, that the issue that has come up when it comes to relationships, particularly, that I've heard from people, is one person tries to change the other. And I'm not talking about change like make a change in your diet for health so that you don't have health problems. I'm talking about literally someone can have a certain personality. Let's say, for example, you have a partner. One person is an extrovert and they need people's energy to go. They love mingling. They love doing that. But then you have another person who may be an introvert, who don't draw from people's energy. And let's say the person who's an introvert tries to force that extroverted partner to I don't want you going out. I don't want you with your friends. You can't be with your friends. You have to just be around me. That's in that situation, that may lead to a toxic relationship because it will turn love into this frustration and hatred. This is just an example. So thank you so much, Raptorisa, for bringing up that topic because, like, I feel like that's a whole room title in itself.
Running from myself at times, I can't describe the words I try, the fear